old, but old for me. Something I wrote about 25 years ago. Curly was a cowboy who grew up on the plains in the era of automobiles, planes and trains. And Mitch was a businessman from New York City, and the two met on a cattle drive outside Albuquerque. One day Mitch asked Curly, "Have you ever been in love?" As they trailed cattle under the hot sun above. Curly said, "Yeah, once, but that was long ago. I was trailing cattle out on the panhandle. There was this girl out in the field as I rode on by, and I stopped and I doffed my hat, and she looked up into my eyes. Then I turned and I rode off to the setting sky." "And?" Mitch asked. Curly looked at him and said, "There's no and." That was it. But Curly, you could have been with her. Curly said, "I've been with lots of gals." Mitch cried, "But Curly, she could have been the love of your life." Curly stopped, pushed up the brim of his hat, and he looked at Mitch and said, "She is. You see, some of us in this life don't get to have the ones we truly love right by our sides. See, a cowboy leads a different kind of life. It's a romantic thing, sometimes only felt inside. Being a cowboy, it don't mean roping or riding a big old hat or a Wrangler jeans. Sometimes being a cowboy is just a romantic sort of thing. You give your love to all, but you give your heart away to none. I guess in that sense, Jesus was a cowboy, though he never rode or shot a gun. Yep, Jesus was a cowboy, not because he could rope or ride, but like any cowboy, it's in the way he lived his life. In a cowboy's mind, there's no struggle between freedom and love. Freedom is their love, and they're content with just sleeping with the stars up above. I figured with that gal, it would never get any better than it was right then and there. So I left it on its highest note, and I never looked back, wishing I could do it over. You see, some of us in this life don't get to have the ones we truly love right by our sides. And Mitch said, "Curly, she could have been the love of your life." And Curly stopped, pushed up the brim of his hat, looked off into the setting sun.